Good evening, viewers. This is All 24 Nightly News, broadcasting live from Algiers. I'm your host, Karim Fazakri, and up next are the top stories. Ghana's president commends Algerian counterparts' integral role in navigating Niger's crisis amid mutual accord on advancing peaceful solutions and vigilance against external interference. Niger Military Council raises alert levels as regional and international pressures escalate, while ECOWAS urges return to barracks while holding force in reserve. Also ahead in our news, United Nations urges unified Libyan government for election path and cautions against prolonged institutional split jeopardizing sovereignty. You'll be following also in our news, surging clashes prompt explosive incident near Khartoum airport as Sudan's Al Burhan initiates talks for emergency government amidst concerns and warnings. And Russia reports downing of Ukrainian drone squadron across Moscow and Belgorod. Kiev anticipates swift advancement following defense line breach. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. First off in our news, President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana acknowledged Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboun's pivotal role and endeavors in resolving the Niger crisis. This recognition came as President Akufo-Addo received Algeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, in Accra. Attaf's visit concluded his tour designated by President Tebboune aimed at peacefully resolving the crisis and reinstating constitutional order in Niger. President Akufo-Addo eagerly anticipated a forthcoming meeting with his Algerian counterpart during an upcoming state visit to Algeria invited by President Tebboune. Mr. Attaf conveyed President Tebboun's message to Akufo-Addo, focusing on intensifying collaborative efforts to ensure a peaceful resolution, averting potential regional repercussions from escalating tensions.
On the occasion of this visit, I had the honor to meet with President of the Republic Nana Akufo-Addo, to whom I expressed the greetings of his brother President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. I transmitted to the President a letter concerning the crisis in Niger and the prospects for strengthening and uniting our efforts to promote peaceful solutions for this country and the entire region, the consequences of a probable escalation and the serious fallout that could be generated through the use of force.
The Algerian foreign minister characterized his discussions with the Ghanaian president as fruitful, highlighting a complete alignment of views between the two nations and their leaders.
The discussions with President Nana Akufo-Addo were fruitful and confirmed the convergence of points of view between our two countries and our presidents. The two heads of state confirmed that desire to strengthen security and stability in favor of the expectations of our peoples in the region. The Ghanaian president asked us to convey his greetings and encouragement to his brother, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, while highlighting his role in his good initiatives, which aim to effectively contribute to ending to the crisis in Niger.
Foreign Minister Attaf emphasized that the Algerian president's initiative for resolving the Niger crisis aims to uphold the principle of opposing unconstitutional government changes, reinstating legitimacy, safeguarding democratic progress, countering terrorism, and preventing both the country and the region from the repercussions of resorting to force of external interference.
أطلعت الرئيس نانا أكوفو-أدو.
I have briefed Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo on the initiatives taken by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune to promote a political solution to the Niger crisis. These objectives, clearly defined by President Tebboune, consist first of all in the strict and total respect of the African legal framework regarding unconstitutional changes of governments. In view of this capital, Algeria is naturally the main and moral guarantor of the central principle of African relations. Second, to achieve the return to constitutional order in Niger and the total rehabilitation of democratic governance in the sister country. Third, to preserve the achievements made by Niger over the past decade, both at the level of materialization of the democratic model and at the level of the fight against terrorism and support for stability in the country, directly, and in the region indirectly.
Mr. Ahmed Attaf renewed further Algeria's position, refusing to resort to the use of force in the Niger crisis, warning of the dangers of external interference in this country.
It is absolutely necessary to avoid in Niger and the whole region the consequences and repercussions of the use of force, as well as serious foreign interference in this country. All these practices aggravate the situation in Niger and in the whole region.
In the same context, over a 4-day African tour encompassing Nigeria, Benin and Ghana, Algeria's diplomatic leader emphasized a collective consensus on the vital need to restore constitutional order in Niamey. Algeria stressed the significance of exhaustively pursuing diplomatic solutions, firmly opposing force or external intervention in Niger. More details with Salman Asib in this report.
Algeria's Foreign Minister Attaf has embarked on a diplomatic journey spanning Abuja, Port Novo and Accra, carrying a message from the President Abdelmajid Tebboune. The message resounds for a peaceful resolution to the Niamey crisis, firmly rejecting any outside interference. In Nigeria, Attaf stressed the importance of seizing every available opportunity to catalyze a political solution in Niger. This aligns with Algeria's approach of addressing African issues within the African context.
المحادثات مع الأشقاء في نيجيريا أكدت بالفعل.
Discussions with the brothers in Nigeria confirmed that these 4 criteria are subject to agreement and great consensus, likely to implement the principle of African solutions to Africa's problems in dealing with the crisis in Niger. For this, we affirmed that Algeria and Nigeria, the 2 countries that contributed historically through their active roles in instilling the values and principles of African unity, and which have a great responsibility in implementing the continental agenda for peace and stability, could but work together hand in hand to avoid escalating the crisis in Niger, in the region and in the African continent as a whole.
Swiftly, Algeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs Secretary General, Lounis Magraman, engaged with the top Niger officials. He explored the potential of political solutions while warning against the perilous route of military intervention.
Algeria favors negotiation and political solution, the spirit of appeasement, so that there is an understanding around a way out of the crisis without resorting to violence. We regret that there are calls for a military intervention in Niger. We oppose any intervention in Niger that would have disastrous consequences not only for Niger, but also for all countries in the region. We are working to favor a negotiated political solution, and we hope that at the end of this process, Niger will recover its former stability.
Turning to Benin, Algeria's diplomatic efforts bolster their commitment to the African Union's legal frameworks, targeting the thorny issue of unconstitutional changes in government. The focus remains resolute on a peaceful resolution.
It is the solution that guarantees, first of all, full respect for the African legal framework that prevents and rejects any unconstitutional change of governments. Second of all, it's the solution that guarantees the return to constitutional order in Niger. Third of all, it is the solution that guarantees the preservation of the achievements made by Niger during the previous decades as part of strengthening the democratic foundations in that sister country. Fourth of all, it is the solution that guarantees and prevents Niger and the entire region from the repercussions of a foreign military intervention that cannot be predicted and whose consequences will be difficult to determine.
Wrapping up in Ghana, Attaf's tour earned Algerian efforts tribute from President Nana Akufo-Addo. Algeria's role in preventing potential escalation and nurturing regional stability was commended. Algeria's unwavering faith in peaceful resolutions, prioritizing national unity and sovereignty, offers a sharp contrast to those who may inadvertently sow instability through discord and division.
These events align with the recent cautionary messages from the ECOWAS Commission directed at the leaders of the Niger coup, urging an immediate return to their barracks. Here's Islam Said with more.
The military council in Niger has instructed the army to heighten their readiness for a potential military intervention. As confirmed by reports, the Armed Forces Chief of Staff Musa Salah Barmu has endorsed this move through an internal memo citing the imminent threat of military aggression against the country.
All members of the armed forces must be put on high alert. The decision was taken against the background of the increase in threats of aggression against Niger.
These developments coincide with warnings from the ECOWAS Commission urging the leaders of the Niger coup to immediately return to their barracks. Omar Touré, the head of ECOWAS Commission, reiterated the regional bloc's refusal to accept the Military Council's government formation efforts and its proposal for a 3-year transitional period. He emphasized that the possibility of employing force remains viable.
The region is employing other elements of its instruments and engaging with the military authorities, the desired outcome, and make it unnecessary for the deployment of the force. Nonetheless, preparations continue towards making the force ready for deployment.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu simultaneously acknowledged mounting pressure for an ECOWAS-led military intervention in Niger.
I'm running a very dangerous position, and if ECOWAS is excluded, there will be a reaction by other people, those who are outside our control.
Tinubu, following discussions with senior clerics, criticized the Niamey Military Council for endangering the population. He expressed support for the return of a delegation of Muslim scholars to engage in further dialogue and negotiations with the Military Council in Niamey.
They cannot use the weapon given to them to protect the country's sovereignty and turn it against the country's people. ECOWAS will remain steadfast in its commitment to diplomatic engagement that benefits everyone.
As the crisis in Niger unfolds, diplomatic solution is still in progress with mediations that seek to ease tensions. However, concerns about a further escalation are still on the rise, which could drag the whole region to inevitable bloodshed.
Niger's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has refuted claims of requesting the ambassadors of Germany, Nigeria, and the United States to depart the country, clarifying that the invitation was solely extended to the French ambassador. The ruling military council in Niamey, as reported by the French press agency, has now rescinded its confirmation of the validity of document that mandated the 3 ambassadors to leave within 48 hours. This document was revealed to be a forgery, with the agency noting that the council had initially verified its authenticity before retracting its stance. And in a connected development, the French Foreign Ministry rejected the Niger Military Council's demand for its ambassador in Niamey to depart the nation. The French Foreign Ministry emphasized that those termed as putschists lack the authority to make such demands. It asserted that the ambassador's accreditation solely stems from Niger's legitimate elected authorities. The ministry further mentioned that its embassy in Niamey continues to evaluate security and operational factors. The military council had given French ambassador a 48-hour ultimatum to leave the country due to his refusal to engage in an interview requested by Niger's foreign ministry on Friday. The Niger Military Council asserted its authority to remove the French ambassador, Benjamin Selvin, 8. In a Saturday statement, the Council cited the Vienna Agreement, asserting the Sovereign Council's prerogative to request the departure of the French ambassador. The Vienna Convention stipulates that the host country can declare any member of the diplomatic mission persona non grata, informing the sending country without the need for specific reasons. On the 1-month anniversary of Niger's coup d'etat observed last Saturday, the Sahel region faced escalating tensions that threatened to spark a regional conflict. ECOWAS intensified its warning of potential military intervention in Niamey, while the Military Council declared authorization for Mali and Burkina Faso forces to intervene if attacked. These unfolding events coincide with neighboring countries cautioning against severe regional consequences resulting from the use of force, coupled with the worsening of humanitarian crisis in one of the world's most impoverished nations. UN Special Representative for Libya, Abdullah Bathili, underscores the urgency of a united government leading the path to elections, emphasizing that Libya can't sustain more interim administrations. The highlights in this report.
In a compelling stride towards stability, Abdoulaye Bathily, the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Libya, has issued a fervent call for an agreement that will forge a unified government, paving the way for crucial upcoming elections. Bathily has underscored the urgency of the matter, stressing that Libya stands at a crossroads where the weight of another interim government would be unbearable for the nation.
In light of the divisions that Libya is witnessing today, there is a necessity for a unified political institution, a unified security institution, and unified military institutions. For this reason, we believe that the issue of uniting the government is not just a legal or constitutional issue. It is a very political one. So the political leaders have to come together and reach an agreement to form a unified government that will lead the country to elections. When I talk about a unified government, it is not another interim government. The country does not need and cannot even tolerate another interim government. We need a unified government that would generate the conditions to create a political environment conducive to holding elections.
Bathyly's words echo with the resonance of a nation yearning for cohesive leadership. The intricacies of unifying a nation fractured by years of discord and political splits are evident to the Special Representative. Bathily acknowledged the highly political nature of this endeavor, arguing any divisions threaten the very core of Libya's sovereignty and territorial integrity and could strip the country of its hard-fought unity.
The current institutions that have existed for a long time, whether the judicial or legislative bodies, are outdated. There is a need to renew the Legislative Assembly. Whether it is the House of Representatives or the High Council of State, Libya today has two governments, one in the east and the other one in the west. This situation can raise more concerns about the future of a country that suffers from political, security, and military leadership division.
Discussing the tangible steps towards this unity, Bathily turned his gaze towards the proposed election bills emanating from the 6+6 Joint Committee. However, he did not shy away from expressing his reservations about their current form.
The House of Representatives and the High Council of State met and assigned the 6+6 Joint Committee to draft electoral laws, and that committee prepared them. However, the electoral laws are not enforceable as they are because they need to be amended, fine-tuned, and scrutinized. United Nations Support Mission was not alone in Libya that spoke about the gaps in these draft electoral laws, but the High National Elections Committee also pointed out the shortcomings in the electoral laws developed by the 6+6 Committee. We hope that these laws will be considered in the near future by the 6+6 Committee as well as by the two councils, so that they are fine-tuned and made enforceable. Once all of these electoral laws are in place, a roadmap for scheduling the elections can be reached.
In a region marked by complexity, Abdoulaye Bathyly's vision for Libya's future is strikingly clear. It is a future where the nation's strength emanates from a consolidated government, fostering an environment where the aspirations of its people can thrive. The road to elections is one that demands meticulous attention to the intricacies of governance, and Bathyly's call to action stands as a beacon of hope in these challenging times.
To other regional news now, the Tunisian Ministry of Interior dismissed reports of a gunfire in Sousse, a city on the eastern coast, on Saturday. Fakir Bouzgaya, the official spokesperson, denied any clash between security forces and extremists in a Sousse neighborhood on Friday, countering social media claims. The spokesperson confirmed a standard security operation targeting a suspected extremist residence as part of routine efforts to track potential terrorism-related groups. In Sudan, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the leader of the Sovereignty Council, has initiated discussions with political and military figures to establish an emergency government. However, there are concerns that this move could potentially prolong the ongoing conflict, given the intensifying violent clashes between the army and the rapid support forces in various parts of the nation. Thousands of Palestinians in Jenin gathered on Saturday to mourn Izzeddin Mohammed Canaan, who was killed by Zionist forces last month. Mourners marched from Jenin Governmental Hospital through the city streets to his hometown in Jabba, denouncing the actions of the Zionist occupation, carrying Canaan's body on their shoulders. The procession included a final farewell from his family before a funeral prayer and his burial in the local cemetery. To Russia-Ukraine file now. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported on Saturday the destruction of a drone over the Belgorod region near the Ukraine border, alongside the interception of another in Moscow's suburbs. Moscow's mayor confirmed that Russian air defenses successfully downed a drone in the Astra region without causing any harm or damage. Following the drone incident in Moscow's outskirts, local media indicated that airport traffic resumed as normal after temporary hour-long restriction. And meanwhile, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense declared a significant breakthrough as its troops breached what they referred to as the toughest Russian defense lines in the southern part of the nation. According to a Ukrainian military leader cited by Reuters, they anticipate swift advancement on the southern front following this successful penetration. Ukrainian forces have now entered the Robotyne area, approximately 100 kilometers from the Sea of Azov's Berdyansk port and situated 85 kilometers from the strategically important city of Melitopol. During a joint press conference in Kiev on Friday, the foreign ministers of Turkey and Ukraine emphasized that alternative solutions to the Black Sea Agreement for exporting Ukrainian grain are less effective. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan stated that renewing the grain agreement is key priority for Ankara. On the other hand, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba mentioned that while Kiev is exploring alternative options, the agreement to export grain via the Black Sea remains the optimal choice. Thousands of demonstrators amassed in Seoul, South Korea, over the weekend to condemn Japan's discharge of radioactive water from Fukushima into the ocean. The protesters decried the government's endorsement of the Japanese initiative, urging Tokyo to store the radioactive water in tanks rather than releasing it into the Pacific. These actions follow South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo's reassurances that the treated water won't compromise the safety of imported food. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson has dismissed any notion of Stockholm intending to prohibit the burning of religious texts. In a press conference on Saturday, Kristersson linked the potential ban of burning religious texts to an amendment to the Constitution of the Kingdom of Sweden.
And the equal risk that our svenska nationella säkerhetsintressen.
Every country is exposed to acute threats that chooses its way of dealing with them. And I have a great respect for what Denmark is doing now. And it is possible that we will do exactly the same as in Denmark. But it takes an amendment to the Constitution of the Kingdom of Sweden. So this is not the right way for the country to do that.
For more news making headlines around the globe, here's the news in brief.
Gabon voters went to the polls on Saturday to vote in presidential, legislative and local elections. Voting began at 7 in the morning with the participation of 19 candidates in the presidential elections, including President Ali Bongo, who is seeking to win a third term. At least one person died and 33 were injured on Saturday after two explosions at a liquefied petroleum gas station in Krevidia, according to authorities. Following the first explosion, the fire spread to two tanks and a nearby house, causing evacuations within a radius of 300 meters and the blockade of road traffic. Deputy Interior Minister Raid Arafat said that the fire had not yet been extinguished and more explosions could happen as a third tank at the site posed a risk. At least 12 people were killed and 80 injured after a stampede of sports fans in the Madagascar's national stadium for the opening ceremony of the Indian Ocean Island Games. Video clips on social media showed Red Cross workers caring for dozens of injured people near the athletics track.
FIFA has suspended the president of the Spanish Football Federation, Luis Rubiales, from office as the World Football Body's disciplinary committee continues to investigate his conduct during the Women's World Cup final, which saw an ethical scandal that sparked widespread controversy. The International Federation revealed that Luis Rubiales had been suspended for 90 days, and the chief official of the Spanish football body had refused to resign from his position, where he was expected to step down under intense pressure from the Spanish government and the players.
Well, that concludes today's program. For the latest updates, check our social media platforms. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to join us again tomorrow for more news. Have a good one.